Shalom, Yashala, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh. I do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles, apostles and elders of Yashar Allah. Call Haloyim La, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Harakah Kodash, for blessing our elders with the spirit of truth, so that we may know. Shout out to the Akim and the Aqua that's keeping the faith in the work. Y'all keep at it. It's your brother Abaya coming at you with more precepts. It's the book of Daniel, chapter 12 and verse 1. It says, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book." Right? In the NIV it reads, "At that time Michael, the great prince who protects your people, will arise." Now we understand Michael ain't coming by himself. It's really Yahweh Shai that's going to return, and Michael will be one of the top angels that come with him. Right? It says in the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse 7, Yahweh Shai is coming back with the clouds. Scripture tells us the chariots of the Lord are thousands of angels. Right? So it says, "The great prince who protects your people will arise. There will be a time of distress, such as has not happened from the beginning of nations until then. But at that time, your people, everyone whose name is found written in the book, will be delivered." Right? So scripture is really preparing us for a time such as never was since there was a nation. So we're going to review some of those times via social media posts. All right. So I'm gonna let this video play. I'll be back. Or these videos play. I'll be back.
White nationalist hate groups. How did you look that in the face in Mississippi?
I looked at all white folks as white folks in Mississippi.
Hey, that's what we talking about.
Whether they had hoods on or hoods off.
They still had that same
what they required of a black man. Didn't need a hood on.
Exactly.
Matter of fact, I saw lynchings. I didn't see
with no hood.
There wasn't no hoods. The lynchings I witnessed wasn't no hoods, you know. But I say this to you on that topic, that I'm leaving the devil alone.
Right.
If the white man is not the devil, he's mine until you bring me one.
Hey, and there's scripture, right? Job 9:24. "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covers the faces of the judges thereof. If not, wherein who is he?" If that individual is not the devil, right? Based off of the characteristics described in the scriptures and based off of the history of this individual that's running this earth, the destruction and death, rape, robbing, and murdering, the lying, the deceit, the deceitful plots that he produces. If that's not the devil, please plead your case for whoever the top wicked is, right? So until then, and there is no in and then, but scripture says who the wicked is.
Bring me one equal to what he has already done. Not what you believe he did accidentally. Mm-hmm. What he has already done to me, you, and to themselves, and to the whole world. You can't find nobody has did more evil than him.
And scripture tells us that the Lord is going to unleash this devil one last time to really get down, right? To not just get on Jacob, but to get on his own people. We seeing it now with, cutting other benefits. So-called blacks and Latinos and so-called Native Americans, so-called Spanish, we're not the only ones that, receive them benefits. Esau's own people receive them benefits, but he don't give a damn, right?
So until you tell me somebody that did more evil than the white man, he'll always be my devil.
White nationalists.
They legalized separate schools, baths. If slavery ended in 1865, why did segregation last nearly a century? Jim Crow laws, they legalized separate schools, bathrooms, even drinking fountains. Why Jim Crow? Who was that? It came from a racist minstrel character in the 1800s. The name became shorthand for laws that enforced white supremacy. How was that legal? Because in Plessy versus Ferguson in 1896, the Supreme Court said that separate but equal was fine. Equal? Yet never equal. Black Americans faced voter suppression, violence, systemic poverty until Brown versus Board of Education, 1954, and the Civil Rights Acts in the 1960s. So freedom...
All right, poverty and oppression. So the times to come, your silver and your gold won't do you any good, all right? Because the Lord is gonna make it pointless, all right? And we already seeing the beginnings of it through the devil's policies, with everything moving digital. We have to understand the Lord is the Most High of good and evil. He controls good and evil. So the things that's happening on this earth, it's all because Yahweh Bashim Yahushua wants it to happen, right? Because it has to happen, because it's written to happen, right?
Loopholes written right into the law. If slavery ended in 1865, why did segregation last nearly a century?
Is a sanitization. Everything that the common person knows about slavery is a sanitization of how bad slavery in America actually was.
The average person doesn't know that slaves had their body parts used for furniture, their bones melted down into grease for people's hair, their craniums made into cups for ceremonies. People would pay to get pleasure from their lifeless bodies. But national museums are under review because some people think they talk too much about how bad slavery was. When I was taught about the civil rights movement, no one told me that in the same time period, black bodies were being used for experiments by the government. Even when they told me protesters got sprayed with fire hoses, they didn't tell me the water pressure was high enough to shred human flesh. If that makes you feel bad, good, because slavery was a bad thing. And now that you know the story, you can do something.
Ain't nothing you can do. Only thing you can do, matter of fact, go to my favorite little scripture that I bring out all the time, and I'm gonna end with it just like I always do. Romans chapter 13 and verse 11. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than we believed. Right? Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is getting ready to set it off, man. We see the signs, consistently happening and consistently getting worse and worse and worse. So get your spirit right, Yasharallah. And no telling how soon the Lord go and set it off. But hey, look like it's gonna be pretty soon. Right. Matter of fact, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Ratazah, it will be soon, because the chaos means salvation. Matter of fact, let me go to Matthew 24. So I'll end with this. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 29 says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds, right, of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So we praying that we are a part of that elect that gets, retrieved, by Yahweh, by Shem Yahushua, that receives that salvation from the tribulation. So with that, Yahweh Shem Yahushua Ratazah, these precepts in this video were edifying. Call Haloyam La, Yahweh Bahasham Yahushua, Bahasham Harakah Kodash, Shalom Yashalom.